Hey everybody, Lisa here. If you go to sleep at night and you wake up feeling like you've done something, more than likely you have. We consider this that you work for the army of the Lord or you work for the army of the bad guys. Either way, I'm speaking to you. My theorems are based on Dolores Cannon's work, reading the Bible, and my own personal experiences. Today is Thursday. We are going to go over the harp, chapter 3, only chapter 3. The word for today is divine. I have a bunch of messages. First, to my acronym friends, my spirit team wants me to show the acronym something. I just figured out. So I have a new phone number and I have an old phone number. On the old phone, I had saw that supposedly I called Yellowstone County on a specific day, and I don't use this phone for calling out. This is from a 913 number, which is from Kansas. Okay, so now this is the story. They want me to show you acronyms down 1, 2, 3 from the bottom. It says a phone call. I don't know if that's coming up very clear. This gray one right here, okay? So from 913-278, that number, a message was placed. And I'm going to open it. And I opened it. I probably shouldn't have opened it, but I didn't click the content. Deposited a new message. And then there's Chinese in the message, okay? So my phone has been cloned. This is my new phone, okay? So now other people operate this phone, and I don't always get phone calls. Somebody from a job I had given a resume and I applied for couldn't get through to me on this phone. And so they sent me an email. And today, I got a message from a good friend who knows my new number. So this text, which was probably meant to go through on my phone, is from my friend Mary, who knows my actual number. I'm going to read you the message because it's nice. It said, "Hey Lisa, the battle belongs to you," is a song by Phil Wickham, a contemporary Christian singer. Heard it again this AM and thought of you. Listen to it when you can. Jesus said we will experience tribulations in this world, but Jesus said, "Take heart, for I have overcome this world." And then she says to me, "Stay prayed up." And that came in on Sunday, but I just got it today. So people are trying to keep friendship from me. And this is a friend from I grew up with, from Queens, okay? She lives not in Queens anymore, but they're trying to keep friendship from me. They have kept me from holding down jobs, both by attacking me with energetic weapons and then having people come in behind me and tell bullshit stories about me. And now my phone is cloned. I'm going to have to reset this phone and then probably change phone numbers. At least that's what my spirit team says to do. I just want you in acronyms to know I am seriously being held back from having income and employment, and I'm a bit stressed out about it, okay? That's that with the phone. If you're having similar issues to me, it's because these people are desperate. Now, I've talked about there's a court case. The jury is out deliberating, and it'll probably be, this is the second day of deliberations, and so these elitist rich bastards have nothing else to do but attack some of us who are going to get paid. Okay? And they want to kill us. They want to kill us so they don't have to pay us out. Know this to be true. So when I read this HAARP thing, it's so people realize this is real shit, people. When people say they're energetically targeted and attacked, They fucking really are. And it's painful, friends. It's not fun. It's not easy. And it's fucking hard. And then they get into your head and they have the ability to fucking read your motherfucking mind. Okay? I hear it. I can hear it because I've done my resonancing, and one of my special abilities is hearing. What else did you want me to say? I pulled some cards today, and hopefully, I'm gonna put a song at the end of this video. There's a person out there we don't like, and if you'd play that song a few times during the day, it'll drive this person crazy, and that's what we're about. It's gonna be Elvis Presley's Return to Sender, okay? Because basically when they send us magic, we're sending it back. And the specific woman who likes to put fucking sex shit on her face, she hates that song. So if you'd play it for me, it'd be great. Anyway, this morning came out Sapphire. This is the daughter's deck, and I find that it speaks a lot to me. Sapphire, divine favor, clarity, protection from attacks and negative energies, faithfulness, throat, third eye chakra, balance across all realms. Odin, the All-Father, came out today. He is watching over a lot of us. Know this to be true. 19 is for fame and honor. Oh, there was some woman out there. She's part of the trial. Lisa Piscini will never be famous, is what she said. And so the universe says, reverse, uno reverse from the universe. Blue Lotus, if you got any of that, put it in some tea. It's good for you. Let's see. Find some water and reflect life, nature, and emotions. Ever-changing and fluid. Life is ever-changing. Know this to be true. Our time will come. All things change. Nothing stays the same. 6 is a thief. There is definitely a thief about, so be mindful, be protective, protect yourself, okay? Stop and listen. Take a moment in your quietude. There's a Mystic Tory says, go within so you'll never go without. That's what this is about. And then there's stay spicy. Gotta love that one. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go right into the book. And excuse me. Let's see, do I have glasses here? Of course I don't have any glasses. I will return. I apologize. Okay, so we're on chapter 3, and part of the reasoning for me to read this book is because A, it is no longer in print. This information is probably not available, and B, it's so that you know what's going on, because a lot of people who are being manipulated, they're being told they're crazy. Some people commit suicide. These people in this group are adept at using both energy weapons along with somebody target her. She's trying to break into my mental ability. Can we end the sound? They're trying to make us look crazy. Then you're not. Trust me, you're not. Okay? The energy weapon thing is disgusting. That's where school shooters come from. They give these elitists joy. That's kind of like social sacrifice, okay? And when the school shooters are there, know this to be true. There are people in covens working to mentally manipulate that people to kill as many people as they do. Whether they know any of these people or not, that's immaterial, okay? And that's what this trial is about. And this trial is about many, many people, and it's big. This is big, and it's been going on for quite some time. And the thing of it is what to tell the public and what not to tell the public, because there's some very bizarre, unusual circumstances to it all. And it's international. And this is part of the message from Spirit. I was going to eliminate this, but they say no, it has to be said. There's many good people in this country who have worked very hard for where they are in life. And a lot of us, even though we're talented and professional, we're struggling, especially elderly people, okay? And this is wrong to say that the elderly are wasteful. It's the elderly a lot who fight up there in space. They want to disprove, or I don't know what their purpose is. The purpose is, I do believe, it's kind of like a bizarre Jim Jones thing with this 177. They think that they are in charge of the planet and that they're going to do the 5D split apart, and it doesn't matter how many of us they take out. They literally feel like they have been given the green light to just kill people. And there's like a lot of human sacrifices that have been done in the name of this group of people, and they think they have their money and power based on their magic and their ability to have energy weapons. Unfortunately, some irresponsible people in our governments have given these people power, and now it's a very touchy situation. It's very political. But my statement is, with ICE, for those of us Americans, and I have paid my taxes, I have worked very hard, I raised 2 effing kids that don't do drugs and contribute to society in a positive way. Even my autistic son has never taken medication, and he works. He works for a living, and he's been denied Social Security over and over again, okay? He should be on disability, but they won't give it to him for whatever fucking reasons, the politics and the criminality. And that's going to come out in court. This court trial is dealing with people all over the world. There's a famous woman in Canada. There's a famous woman in the UK, and a famous wife of a famous actor. I think he divorced her over this, whether it's public or not, I don't know. But they're elitist. There's Spain is involved, France, China, Japan. It's global. Okay, this is global. And this is what ICE is about. Okay, trust me, if they allow my participation in how many people have stolen my identity, that I sent off something to the IRS. If you've ever communicated with the IRS and you owe them money, they get right back to you, okay? They're good about that. They're mathematicians and they know their shit. I sent off for the IRS and never heard a fucking word. That tells me there's more than one of me out there, and the IRS got a little fucking confused, okay? So, when you hear about ICE rounding up people who are in positions of fucking power, they're international terrorists who've stolen identities. Don't feel bad for those people! The government's doing what it has to do. That's all I'm going to say about that. I hope every person who's stolen my identity goes to effing jail. And everyone who's tried to repress me as well. That I only got 22 subscribers. Get fucking real, people. All right, chapter 3, here it is. What's going on up there? That's the name of the chapter. Nick Begich can't be categorized by his long ponytail and youthful appearance. He started his first business in 1974 at the age of 16 and has worked in mining, construction, real estate, and more recently, a mid-level managerial job in the Anchorage School District. That's a hard-working man. Service in Alaskan politics and labor union organizing brought him public service awards, a couple of appointments to the Alaska Council for Economic Education, and 2 terms as president of Alaska Federation of Teachers, AFT. But it was his longtime interest in science that earned Begich the informal title of Evolving Electric. His life took another turn when he happened to be thumbing through the April 1994 issue of an Australian magazine that Patrick Flanagan suggested he check out. When the name of Nick's hometown newspaper caught his eye, odd that Nexus would print an item from the Anchorage Daily News, he commented to his wife Sheila, "The contents of the news brief startled them. The federal government was about to introduce some weird technology right in their backyard, figuratively speaking." Nick copied the reference and headed to the Anchorage Municipal Library to search out the original story, a November 20th, 1994 letter to Anchorage Daily News from Eric Nashlin. It told about a military-funded project called HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, intended to perturb the ionosphere for Department of Defense experiments. Nashlin's letter said, and this is in quotes, "Some startling revelations came to light while researching the background of a military-sponsored project starting construction in Gakona. HAARP will be used to understand, stimulate, and control ionospheric processes that might alter the performance of communication and surveillance systems. According to a HAARP fact sheet, the HAARP environmental impact statement claims negligible ionospheric impact with no impact to climate, weather, or ozone layer. That's a bald-faced lie. An Arco company has bid for construction of HAARP. Arco Power Technologies Incorporated holds a patent number 4,686,605, method and apparatus for altering a region in Earth's atmosphere, ionosphere, and / or magnetosphere. Inventor Bernard J. Eastland. Assignee APTI Incorporated, Los Angeles, which matches closely the HAARP proposal dealing with transmitting extremely large amounts of radio frequency energy into the ionosphere. It is evidence that HAARP will at least test, if not fully implement, the patent capabilities. Quote, patent number 4,686,605 claims it has the following uses. Cause total disruption of communications over a very large portion of the Earth, disrupting not only land-based communications, but also airborne communications and sea communications, both surface and subsurface, missile or aircraft destruction, deflection, or confusion, weather modification by altering solar absorption, ozone, nitrogen, etc., concentrations would be artificially increased. Oh, and that's the end of the quotes. Whether or not APTI was using that particular patent for HAARP, Begich questioned the wisdom of the whole effort. If this technology works, is it in humanity's interest for a secretive bureaucracy to control something which could stop all electronic communications or change the planet's weather patterns? The library had the patent on microfiche. Its abstract summary read, quotes, a method and apparatus for altering at least one selected region which normally exists above the Earth's surface. The region is excited by electron cyclotron resonance. Cyclotron resonance. Stick that in your head for a minute. Heating to thereby increase its charged particle density. In one embodiment, circularly polarized electromagnetic radiation is transmitted upward in a direction substantially parallel to and along a field line which extends through the region of plasma to be altered. The radiation is transmitted at a frequency which excites electron cyclotron resonance to heat and accelerate the charged particles. This increase in energy can cause ionization of neutral particles, which are then absorbed as part of the region, thereby increasing the charged particle density of the region. End quotes. When Begich examined the patent's section titled Prior Art, he was surprised to see references to articles about Nikola Tesla. Eastland's drawings did appear similar to patents issued to Nikola Tesla in the late 19th and early 20th century. Tesla's name had been associated with wild schemes, and Begich wanted to find out why would-be planetary engineers were still quoting the deceased inventor. Begich knew that Tesla was credited with startling an earthquake, generating balls of electromagnetic energy and other wonders. Toward the end of his life, Tesla had claimed to hold the keys to creating a shield in the upper atmosphere that would destroy any incoming aircraft. A cold chill ran through Begich after he read the article cited. This was the New York Times, December 8th, 1915. And this is all in quotes now. Nikola Tesla, the inventor, has filed patent applications on the essential parts of a machine, possibilities which test a layman's imagination and promise a parallel of Thor's shooting thunderbolts from the sky to punish those who had angered the gods. Suffice it to say that the invention will go through space with a speed of 300 miles a second. A manless ship without propelling engine or wings sent by electricity to any desired point on the globe on its errand of destruction. If destruction its manipulator wishes to effect. It is not a time, said Dr. Tesla yesterday, to go into the details of this thing. It is founded upon a principle that means great things in peace. It can be used for great things in war, but I repeat, this is no time to talk of such things. It is perfectly practical to transmit electrical energy without wires and produce destructive effects at a distance. I have already constructed a wireless transmitter which makes this possible and have described it in my technical publications, among which I refer to my patent number 1,119,732, recently granted. Without transmitters of any kind, we are enabled to project electrical energy in any amount to any distance and apply it for innumerable purposes, both in war and in peace. Through the universal adoption of this system, ideal conditions for the maintenance of law and order will be realized. For then, the energy necessary to the enforcement of right and justice will be normally productive yet potential and in any moment available for attack and defense. The power transmitted need not be necessarily destructive, for if distance is made to depend upon it, its withdrawal or supply will bring about the same results as those now accomplished by force of arms. End quotes. Yeah, I heard somebody say, damn. It's real, people. It's real. If you're being... I am targeted at my neck, okay? And they made me cry a few days ago. I could hardly move. Every time I get a job, I want to work just a regular fucking crummy job, even if it means lifting boxes and moving around. But they kept me from doing that with energy weapons. I just need a chump change job just to survive. I don't want to think about anything when I go to work, but they make me in pain. Now, when I'm not working, I'm fine unless decided to target on me. So please play that song today because it really annoys one of these energy weapon bullies. Because that's all they fucking are, is bullies, okay? And when God says he's working from the inside out, he's working with us. Some of us are adaptive individuals who are fighting these motherfuckers in the dreamtime space. Know this to be true. We're amazing. We're fucking golden, people. I can't wait for this trial to come out. There's so much I have to say. Anyway, moving on. Begich noted the next article referred to the patent also ran in New York Times on September 22nd, 1940, and read, in quotes, Nikola Tesla, one of the truly great inventors who celebrated his 84th birthday on July 10th, tells the writer that he stands ready to divulge to the United States government the secret of his teleforce, with which he said airplane motors would be melted at a distance of 250 miles so that an invisible Chinese wall of defense would be built around the country. That's insane. Why would you even think of that? Anyway, let's not even go there. This teleforce, he said, is based upon an entirely new principle of physics that no one has ever dreamed about. Different from the principle embodied in his inventions relating to the transmission of electrical power from a distance, for which he has received a number of basic patents. This new type of force, Mr. Tesla said, would operate through a beam 1/100 millionth of a square centimeter in diameter and could be generated from a special plant that would cost no more than, is that $2 million? $2 million, and would take only about 3 months to construct. The beam, he said, involves 4 new inventions, 2 of which already have been tested. One of these is a method and apparatus for producing rays and other manifestations of energy in free air, eliminating the necessity for high vacuum. A second is a method and process for producing very great electrical force. The third is a method for amplifying this force, and the fourth is a new method for producing a tremendous electrical repelling force. This would be the projector or gun of the system. The voltage for propelling the beam to its objective, according to the inventor, will attain a potential of 50 million volts. With this enormous voltage, he said, microscopic electrical particles of matter will be catapulted on their mission of defensive destruction. He has been working on this invention, he added, for many years, and has recently made a number of improvements in it. Oh, this chapter is a bit longer, but that's okay. If it's a bit longer, please forgive me. I'm so unprepared, but I'm just going to do it. I have to get some water. I apologize, people. Oh, man. Thank you for hanging out with me if you're still here. Okay, here we go. There was a third reference, apparently, written by Tesla that Begich could not obtain. Tesla's ideas in these articles raised more questions in Begich's mind about the version of law and order. That's what this trial is going to address a little bit. It's very interesting that there's a correlation here. Likely to rise from any military organization controlling such technology. He believed that if this technology were to be implemented anywhere, it should be done so openly and honestly. That's why the Ethel's fighting the bear. And only when it can be safe and worthwhile for improving the human condition. The idea of unleashing such power into the planet's ionosphere disturbed him deeply, as well it should. Begich made phone calls, did more reading, and heard the reaction of a few independent scientists to the military funded Project in the Sky. Their request to the military could be stated bluntly as, back off, Charlie. This is our planet, too. There was another aspect that concerned him besides HAARP's possible effect on the weather or on emergency communications in the Alaskan bush. Over the years, he had seen impressive studies saying that even low power levels of pulsed radio frequency beaming could affect human physiology, minds, and moods. He decided to find out more, much more, from reputable sources. It would be foolish to hit the alarm button about HAARP without being certain. One concern was clearly speculative. One of the HAARP documents, 31, stated that ionospheric disturbances have been detected and ascribed to earthquakes, such as the Alaska earthquake on March 28, 1964. He wondered if the reverse might be true, if deliberate ionospheric disturbances could in turn resonate with the materials in the earth and trigger an earthquake. Absolutely, people. Abso-fucking-lutely. The earthquake question was only one of the questions nagging at the independent researchers. Begich did not know it at the time, but the research would focus his energies in a way that would attract additional similar-minded people. Eventually, their directed energies would perturb something bigger than themselves. Perhaps his life had led up to this. Nick Begich Jr. was raised in a political family where making a difference was a way of life. His father, Nick Begich Sr., served as a state senator and later a representative in the United States Congress, and his mother, Peggy, was politically active in Alaska for more than 30 years. After the disappearance of the airplane carrying his father and his U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs in 1972, when Nick Jr. was a teenager, his life changed irrevocably. However, the theme instilled by his parents was one of service and persistence. He and his 5 siblings between them also chalked up a lifetime of political experience. But an equally strong thread in Nick's life was an interest in science. His early investigations led to an invitation in the 1978 International Biorhythm Research Association conference in Atlanta. As a youthful science outsider among 50 senior scientists from around the world, most were in the life sciences. The youth presented a simple paper about the idea of his country's researchers over-specialized and that multidisciplinary teams were the way to break through in science. His association from this early experience led to a lasting interest in electrophysiology and life sciences. The studies became his creative outlet while he worked at mundane administrative jobs. With this background, he could sort through the HAARP technical documents and see implications of its type of ionospheric interference. As he saw it, the government had understated the risks, as had fellow Alaskan Claire Zicker and others. He sent piles of files out to his friends around the world, and information flooded back. In the summer of 1994, Begich wrote an article about HAARP for Nexus magazine to get the story out. He mentioned the Eastland patent, but acknowledged that it was controversial. In quotes, "The United States military denies that the HAARP project has anything to do with these patents. However, a careful review of the government's documents leading to the contract with APTI leads one to the conclusion that the military is deliberately attempting to mislead. While it is true that the device being built will not produce the full effects described in the patents, it is a necessary step in proving the effectiveness of the technology in advance of a larger antenna array. Patent number 4,686,605, issued August 11, 1987, is one of three related patents by the same inventor, one of which was locked up under a Navy national security order in the late 1980s. End of quote. In his Nexus article, Beggish said that the Eastland patents go beyond the application dreamed of by Tesla. The Eastland patent said that scientists in the previous few years had been trying to learn about the belts of trapped electrons and ions above the Earth in order to control and use the phenomena for beneficial use. For example, in the late 1950s and early 1960s, both the United States and the USSR detonated a series of nuclear devices to generate large numbers of charged particles at various altitudes. These are in quotes. This is in quotes. This can cause confusion of or interference with or even complete disruption of guidance systems employed by even the most sophisticated of airplanes and missiles. The ability to employ and transmit over very wide areas of the Earth electromagnetic waves of varying frequencies provides a unique ability to interfere at will with all modes of communication, land, sea, and or air, at the same time. This invention provides the ability to put unprecedented amounts of power in the Earth's atmosphere at strategic locations and to maintain the power injection level, particularly if random pulsing is employed in a manner far more precise and better controlled than heretofore accomplished by the prior art, particularly by the detonation of nuclear devices. What is used to disrupt another's communication can be employed by one knowledgeable of this invention as a communication network at the same time. In addition, once one's own communication network is established, the far-reaching effects of this invention could be employed to pick up communications signals of others for intelligence purposes. Eastland spelled out, and that was end quotes, Eastland spelled out other possible developments of his superheater in the sky. Quote, missiles or aircraft's destruction, deflection, or confusion could result particularly when relativistic particles are employed. Also, large regions of the atmosphere could be lifted to an unexpectedly high altitude so that missiles encounter unexpected drag forces with resulted destruction or deflected. Weather modification is possible by, for example, altering upper atmospheric wind patterns, by constructing one or more plumes of atmospheric particles which will act as a lens or focusing device. And I want to say something about that. When I first moved up here, it's going to come out in this trial. One particular person has the ability to have their finger on this, and they created a devastating wind up here in Montana, the like of which most Montanans will talk about for time after time, because it was like nothing they'd ever seen. And it did take out power, which affected innocent people, but he was targeting one person. And that's going to come out in this trial. That man's going to lose everything he's ever worked for. Trust me on that. I know. Also, molecular modification of the atmosphere can take place so that positive environmental effects can be achieved. Besides actually changing the molecular composition of an atmospheric region, A particular molecule or molecules can be chosen for increased presence. For example, ozone, nitrogen, etc. Concentrations in the atmosphere could be artificially increased. Similarly, environmental enhancements could be achieved by causing the breakup of various chemical entities such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxides, and the like. Begich pointed out to the Nexus readers, and that was the end of the quotes, sorry. Begich pointed out to the Nexus readers, they want me to not read this. They're all upset up there. And I just got heated up. So what I said about that guy is true. Somebody's like confirming that. Begich pointed out to the Nexus readers that the HAARP device being built at that time was not big enough to test all of Eastland's ideas, but it certainly looked like the military was interested in his patents. Begich had experience with procurement, the bureaucratic term for getting government contracts. And that's what these people have. Unfortunately, for us regular people, they have government contracts. That's why this court trial has been taking many, many years, okay? And had once worked in the heart of Texas defense contractor country. The fact of this case jumped out at him, and it jumps out at me too. On November 3rd, 1993, the U.S. Air Force announced that the prime contractor on the first phase of the HAARP project was ARCO Power Technologies Incorporated, APTI. At the time of the project was put out for bids, APTI was a subsidiary of Atlantic Richfield Oil Company, ARCO, and owned the patent rights to the Eastland's ionospheric altering schemes. Begich looked up APTI in the Dun & Bradstreet Directory of Corporations 40 and learned that APTI had a president in Los Angeles, a staff of 25 employees in Washington, D.C., with sales of only $5 million a year. How did a small subsidiary get the military contract for such a large project? According to the record, it won the right to build the project through exemptions in the military procurement process. The HAARP contract with APTI was more than 5 times larger than APTI's annual sales. As Begich saw it, the only way a virtually unknown company in the military contracting arena could get such a contract is if they had proprietary information needed by the project. The trail circled back to the Eastland patents. Begich quoted the May-June 1994 issue of Microwave News, in which Eastland described a full global shield of accelerated electrons created with radio frequency transmitters, RF. The HAARP project obviously looks like a first step towards this, Eastland told the editor. However, he noted that the uses he described would need a significantly more powerful device with a much larger antenna than the HAARP array. While the Eastlands controversy continued, Begich wrote that a February 1990 paper from the Navy and Air Force 41, those are reference numbers, I'm sorry, made it clear, 41, Joint Services Program Plans and Activities, made it clear that the project goal is to learn how to manipulate the ionosphere on a more grand scale than the then Soviet Union could do with its similar facilities. HAARP would be the largest ionospheric heater in the world, located in a latitude most conducive to putting Eastland's invention into practice. Looking at the northern lights, as the aurora is called in Alaska, was not the point of HAARP. Begich quoted from the U.S. Air Force Record of Decision, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, Finally, environmental impact statement of October 18th, 1993, in quotes. The data obtained from the proposed research would be used to analyze basic ionospheric properties and to assess the potential for developing ionospheric enhancement technology for communications and surveillance systems. A potential DoD, Department of Defense, application of the research is to provide communications to submerged submarines. These and many other research applications are expected to greatly enhance present DoD technology. The Air Force and Navy proposes to build and operate the most versatile and capable ionospheric research facility in the world. The government intends to utilize the unused over-the-horizon backscatter radar site near Gakona, Alaska, for this program. Research requirements stipulated that the selected site must fall in the range of latitudes between 61 and 65 degrees, either north or south. Sitting constraints included that the site must be on U.S. soil on DoD land to the maximum extent practical. End quotes. The response to the Nexus article showed that more people were interested in HAARP than the Alaskan researchers had originally expected. Begich noticed that many of the independent researchers were afraid to identify themselves and take on the government. One group of individuals whom Begich, appreciating their wish to be anonymous, began to refer to as the guys in the bush, sent him volumes of files that they saw as relating to HAARP. Books, papers, news, clippings, and internet items arrived each week, as well as occasional government records. He paid less attention to the internet items. Unless they mentioned books or articles or patents he could check out firsthand. One day a box arrived at the Begich family home containing about 18 inches of new files. About this time, Sir Anton Jayasuriya of the Open International University of Complementary Medicines invited Begich to present a paper at the World Congress on Alternative Medicines and to receive a doctorate degree in traditional medicine. The honor was totally unexpected, and he packed for travel. As it turned out, circumstances did not allow him to travel to Sri Lanka, so he planned a trip to Finland instead. In Finland, he would at least see his old friend from 1978's conference and from correspondence, Dr. Rijo Makela, in order to talk about promoting Makela's scientific discoveries in electrophysiology. Meanwhile, one of the HAARP researchers in Canada had written to thank him for the Nexus article. Jean Ann Manning was a writer who had just compiled a manuscript, The Coming Energy Revolution. She suggested they collaborate on an article for an American publication. Begich replied by telephoning her in Vancouver. They learned that each had too much pressing information in their files to compress into an article. It had to be a book. On his stopover at the Seattle airport before flying to Finland, Begich met with Manning for a few hours and found they shared similar values. They decided to try long-distance book authoring. While he was in Finland, and the only unsettling event was that HAARP-related files, which he had forwarded to Rijo Makela, had mysteriously disappeared from Rijo's office. Oh, haven't we all experienced that? Oh, where did it go? The two men discussed the project anyway and concluded that HAARP was an affront to good sense and a threat to safety. This conclusion was based on Michaela's advanced understanding of the effects of radio waves upon people. Back in Anchorage in early 1995, the Beggages sent an airline ticket to Jean Ann Manning, and their 9-year-old son moved into his sister's bedroom for 2 weeks when she arrived. Nick took time off from work, and they spread HAARP-related files for 20 feet across the carpet in his study. While typing on his computer and a borrowed notebook computer, Sheila joined them for a visit to No HAARP activist Claire Zicker and his wife. And they also drove hours into the bush country to speak with other activists. The most revealing interviews, however, took place over the telephone lines. While in Alaska, Jean Ann phoned Houston, Texas, and interviewed a man who has apparently been elbowed out of the inner circle of the gigawatt heater project planners. Was it because he talked too much to the media? And that's where chapter 3 ends. Chapter 4 is called Skybusters Under Secrecy. So that's our next reading. That's where we'll pick up after here. And that's all I have for you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed what I read for you. Remember, I think a lot of you are amazing, and you're way more stronger than you think. We're going to beat these people. Trust me on that. Bye now.